Fresh City Farms sources and delivers fresh local food to customers in the Toronto area. And part of doing that has meant cultivating a network of city farmers to work the land at their Downsview Park farm and greenhouse. It's business, but it's much more too. Joining us now to explain, Ran Goel, CEO and founder of Fresh City Farms, and Jacqueline Dwyer, Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's very nice to have you here. I'm looking forward to learning more about city farming. Jacqueline, how did you get started in city farming?
Well, I was always a gardener and I wanted to learn commercial growing. So I ended up going to Downsview in around 2010, 2011, and I met another group there called Food Cycles. And shortly after, I took a little time away, and then when I came back, Fresh City Farm appeared. I met another farmer there by the name of Damien Ajuda, who we used to go and buy from every week, and started talking and telling us about Fresh City Farm, its program, and its member farmer program. And we said, yeah, we'd like to get involved. And 2012, 2013, we became member farmers. And my partner and I, Noel, were the first two to sign up. And I think our energy pulled about 25 member farmers together that season.
And what made Fresh City Farms a good fit for you?
Well, I just lived down the road at Keele and Eglinton, and Fresh City Downsview Park is at Keele and Shepherd, so I didn't have to go very far. And also, they were actually a space where you could go and farm and learn how to do it if you didn't know. And Fresh City Member Farmer Program offered that, so it was very, very cool to get involved.
And Ran, you used to be a lawyer on Wall Street.
True story.
And so how did you go from that to creating Fresh City Farms?
Good question. So I did practice law for about 5 years on Wall Street. I was looking to do something more meaningful. It was kind of the wake of the financial crisis, and you saw the whole edifice kind of tumbling down, and I wanted to do something with more value. So as I was looking, the food system seemed to be a place where a lot of work needed to be done, both on how we farm and grow our food and how we market and distribute it. And the rest is history. My vision initially was to have a whole bunch of backyard farmers and bring all their produce together and sell it under one brand. We tried that the first year. That didn't do too well, ended up being a logistical nightmare. But then we created, the vestige of that was our member farmer program at Downsview, where we farm a few acres alongside our 15 to 20 member farmers, depending on the year. Because I realized one of the big things with food security and food is that we need to grow farmers as much as we need to grow food, because you need farmers to grow food in the first place. When
you decided to do city farming, anyone in your circle say, you're crazy, you're a lawyer at Wall Street, why would you want to do that?
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody in the broadest circle you can imagine said that. People who knew me knew that I was never going to be a corporate lawyer for life. Like I was going to be doing something else. But everyone from my mom to my friends thought this was crazy. But for me, it was something. You get to live one life, and you got to make it meaningful.
How did you end up with the land that you have right now?
We were very lucky in that sense. We stand on the shoulders of Food Cycles, which Jacqueline mentioned, and they were non-for-profit. They did a lot of the hard work lobbying Downsview Park to create that urban farming pilot. And they ended up running out of funding, and we took over the space after that from them. So that land has been farmed for 9 years now, I believe, with going into its 9th season of organic farming.
Wow. And Jacqueline, how did your own interest in city farming evolve into the Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective?
So in 2013, I was at Fresh City Farm with Ran and Phil and member farmers, and Connor, who was farm manager then, and I heard about Black Creek Community Farm. And it's back in about 2009, 2010, me and my partner and a group of other people from Jane Finch started one of the first farmers market there. And Food Share Toronto was a supplier and also a partner in the project. And in hindsight, I didn't know that there was a farm up the road. So when I heard that there was a farm up the road, I got very excited. And I said, I have to get involved with that project, because now we have an opportunity to do something really cool in a neighborhood. It's always getting such a bad flag. And that's
what do people say about that neighborhood?
Well, you know, violence, gang, drugs, gun, and they deem everybody coming out of Gin and Finch criminals, no worth, no good. So we knew that this space would hold something special and bring in people and Torontonians together. And that was one of my main reasons for wanting to get involved. And just the work that we were doing at Fresh City Farms, growing commercially, I felt that it was important to also bring some of those skills to Black Creek. And when I went to Black Creek for the first time and I saw that space, I said, wow.
The potential.
Yeah, it's huge.
How did Will Allen inspire you from Growing Power?
Oh, so I never met Will Allen when he came here originally. My partner, Noel, did. And he came home and he was ranting about this Will Allen.
And who is Will Allen?
Will Allen was a former NBA basketball player who came from a farm. And after he retired from playing pro ball, he went straight back into farming. But now he used food as a pivotal tool to build community and build people. And I got inspired because of a training that came to Black Creek in 2013 called the ILIF training. And the ILIF training really teaches us community people and farmers how to use food as a tool to dismantle racism and oppression in communities. So I thought that was extremely valuable and cool. And I wanted to see that happen here. I've spoken to other people who went to Milwaukee and Chicago and saw Will's program and his farms up close. And they came back to Toronto and they tried numerous things and just never got it to that level where we're really using food as a tool to dismantle racism and oppression. So 2013 at Black Creek, we had that 3-day intensive training. And out of that training, we started really gathering and thinking about what the future of food would look like for Black and racialized people, talking about food, organic farming, and doing it. And we just started doing it. And we've not looked back. It's been hard work, but it's been really good. We've met really good people, and people are hearing about us. Noel just came back from a conference in Calgary about 3 weeks ago, and as far as Calgary and New Brunswick, people are speaking about the Black Farmers Collective. So I know that.
What does that mean to you?
It's huge.
That people are talking about you.
It's really huge because people are really looking at what we're doing and say, wow, we're actually doing these cool things in Canada. We'd like to see that populate more. So I think we're babies in the game, but we have a whole lot of time to grow and be much, much bigger.
You're learning how to walk like a toddler.
Yes.
Ren, tell me the difference between Black Creek and Fresh City Farms.
So Fresh City, my vision when I started the company was really to create a scalable way of farming the city, so turning existing land in the city into vibrant, edible green space. So from the get-go, I decided to make it a for-profit enterprise so that we could, if need be, raise capital and grow that way. So that's the key distinction: is we are a for-profit, and the Black Creek Community Farm is nonprofit based.
And Jacqueline, where's the food going that you grow?
So in 2014, when I left Black Creek, I worked there for 2 years. When I left Black Creek, I came back to Fresh City and I said, Ran, we need land. He said, go and talk to the member farmer coordinator, Jessica Gale, who was then the member farmer coordinator. And we had money for a half an acre. We paid the money and we got 1,000 square foot in the over this side where the greenhouses are. And then we went over to the south corner of where they're building townhouses now in the park. And we ended up on about 2.5 acres, growing an array of not only local food, but food from the tropics and the equator.
And so where does that food go?
Well, we had people coming in who were sick, needed to eat clean food. Well, everybody else says organic, we say clean food. They were able to access. There were people coming with no money, but they gave time, they were able to access. There were young families who had a little bit of money, but they needed to eat clean, they were able to access. And we also donated 400 pounds of that food to community residents and food organizations.
So how do you keep going if you're giving?
Well, again, we've been the guinea pigs in getting the Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective up and running. We are just getting a little bit of funding. We've used our own savings and our credit cards to do the things we have to do. And so people like Ran, who, you know, would give donate things to us here and there. Lush, the cosmetic body company, gave us $10,000. Food Cycles donated some money towards building the soil. Carrot Cache did. And just a number of other people walking through the park, seeing us, seeing what we're doing, and took money out of their pocket and gave to us because they like what we are doing. And we're actually using the community and as a means to change how we look at local food security in the city of Toronto.
Now, Rand, how do you balance your need to have sufficient food available for your delivery business and allowing your member farmers to keep what they're growing?
So Fresh City, we operate on the basis of we grow our own food. So we have our own sort of plot at Downsview alongside the member farmer plots. And it's up to each member farmer how they market their produce. So we're really there to try to create a platform for them to succeed, providing space to start seedlings, access to dry storage, cold storage, key tools.
Do you provide the seeds as well, or?
The seeds, basically, any soil amendments or seeds, each member farmers buys themselves. But what is possible, given they're all farming together, is they typically purchase together because everyone is in one spot, so it makes it much cheaper to do so. But it's really up to them how they market it. So some member farmers go to the farmers market, some sell to restaurants, some sell to friends and family. I believe you guys did a U-Pick essentially last year, where people would come and pick right from the plot and pay them. So for us, we're not coercive as to how the produce gets sold. It's up to the individual member farmer.
Jacqueline, I want to read something that you wrote on the Black Farmers Collective website. And you wrote, the Black Farmers and Food Growers Collective of Toronto are a group of farmers, growers, small food business owners, food insecure adults and families. We have come together to change our situation by creating our unique and diverse food justice lens through affordability and access. We have so much to learn as we start to heal and unravel ourselves from our long history of food abuse and oppression to food liberation and wholesomeness. Tell us about the history of food abuse and oppression that's mentioned there.
Well, for me as a racialized Black woman, some of my ancestors were already here on the land, but some were brought here. And through that ugly period of the Americas, many of our people didn't eat well. They couldn't eat well. They were living in tyranny and violence. And they were growing food, but they weren't getting that food to eat.
So what were they eating?
They ate what was given to them. And what was given to them were foods that were not healthy. They were eating so that they could work from sunup to sundown, and their health got really bad. And on top of their health, you know, spiritually, mentally, and physically, they weren't doing great either. So I think I stand very strong on those ancestral shoulders to now help to change the process and to get involved. I just don't talk about it, I get involved and do it. And I felt that a great way to do that was to actually lead by example. And I know a lot of people say, oh, farming is hard and you're in the hot sun.
It is though.
It's so cool to be out there, folks, and grow and be able to eat that food and share that food and conversate around that food. And people coming to the farm, when they come to that Downsview Park, they love being there because it's an oasis.
You were saying about the energy that you feel when you're there.
Yes, that beautiful energy of the plants and the trees. It literally talks to you. So it's a space you really want to be to unwind.
Rand, based on responses to the 2012 and 2013 Canadian Community Health Surveys through Stats Canada, it was shown that only 29.4% of adults in food insecure households reported using a home or community garden for food, compared with 43.5% of those in food secure households. Given that most people in food insecure households in Canada reside in urban areas and in rental accommodations, it is not surprising that they were less likely to engage in gardening for food. Would you like to see more involvement in your project by food insecure Torontonians?
I think that for me, the question is broader. I think, first of all, why is there food insecure individuals? And second of all, why isn't there more of a platform for people who do want to grow food but don't have their own yard? So from our end, as a for-profit company, you know, we're doing whatever we can to move the conversation forward on food by incubating farmers, providing access to local clean food, organic food. But at the end of the day, other jurisdictions have shown the way with urban farming. And in my mind, the ability to grow your own food should be a right of every person living in the city. And the city should furnish that right by, for example, opening hydro corridors to be able to be farmed, all sorts of underused park space, underused space owned by the 3 levels of government. As an urban farmer driving around the city or riding around the city, you suddenly see all these spaces that are kind of just sitting there. They're in between spaces. An example is this land that we're farming that we just built a greenhouse on, abutting the 427, between the 427 and the corporate headquarters of Baca Mobile. That's land that would never be used for anything because of where it is right next to the highway. But
couldn't it be used for housing? I mean, there's a shortage in the province.
In that particular case, they have a setback requirement in case the highway needs to be expanded down the line in the future. So in that case, it would not be able to be built on. So
how do you get access?
In that case, it was actually the CEO who I'd met by coincidence at the Live Green Toronto Awards, who called me and said, "Hey, I just had this crazy idea." His name's John Marion, very forward-thinking guy on green issues, and said, "It's just sitting here. We've owned this land for the last 30 years, and all I see is lawn, and I have to pay for it to be mowed. Why not grow food on it?"
So why not? What's the holdup?
And that's where, for me, it's a very deep-seated question, because I think we often look above to our leaders, political leaders, and say, hey, if they just change this or that policy, this would be different. But in my mind, it's more of a consciousness raising. It's much more deep than that. So, for example, when we were applying to the city to get the zoning to do the farm there, it was a real uphill battle. And it was an uphill battle not because the chief planner or the mayor were not on side, but because the people at the bottom had just never seen this before. And similarly at Downsview, our tenure there at the high levels has actually not been very good in the past. But at the staff level, especially once they got what we were doing, they're very supportive in the form of helping us plow or helping us move things or providing excess materials they might not need to us. So to me, it's a societal thing where we under-invest and underappreciate farming and food.
Are there zoning problems, or do you just think that if the normal citizen knew about it, they would demand it?
In the case of city land, yes, there are zoning problems. So in our case, for that farm and greenhouse, we actually had to go to the Committee of Adjustment to be able to get a variance for that, which in my case, because I am a fanatic and a lawyer, it worked out well. But in many cases where you don't have the skill set or are as passionate, it wouldn't have happened.
See, your skills from being on Wall Street are coming into effect, right? Jacqueline, you mentioned, you refer to it as clean eating, not organic. How challenging is it to afford a healthy diet in Toronto?
Very, very challenging. Even people who have money are crying that it's too expensive. I think the more we get people to grow and to engage in growing, then we'll start to move the cost down because there will be a lot of surplus. Most people live in apartment buildings. They're surrounded by a lot of concrete, top and bottom and sides, and there's really no green space to grow. So for people who are contractors, who are builders, and they have these spaces, I think it makes sense in the city to start to incorporate green spaces where people can actually grow, plant, just for therapy, and putting something good in your mouth makes sense. So
and understanding where your food comes from, maybe?
Like making that connections, because we really don't have a contingency plan for the next 30 days if our borders should shut down, right? A lot of our food comes from the United States. And if something should happen and our border shuts down, a lot of people are going to go hungry. So why not start to be forward-thinking and start to use the land and the good water we have here to do good things?
And Ran, how does the business model for Fresh City Farms help cut down on food waste?
In our case, it's in multiple ways. So we sell what we grow, and what that means is that we can harvest exactly what we have demand for. So we know the day before how many members ordered however many particular produce item. So that's one way. Another way is that we also offer recipe kits, which have pre-portioned ingredients. So people are using exactly what they need for that recipe. So you don't have to buy 2 pounds of carrots for something that you're only using a quarter pound for, and then the other pound languishes in your fridge. And then the final thing is we have various streams that we can ensure that any waste that there is ultimately useful. So whether it's donating certain produce to Second Harvest, so it can be used for people who are in need, or it's composting on the farm or at our warehouse to make sure that it's not.
And Jacqueline, how could city farming be better accommodated in a city that's becoming more and more densely populated? I mean, we're running out of space, it seems.
Yeah, so we have a land issue crisis right now. We, the Black farmers, came up with a model called a communal farm model that leaves nobody behind. In the city of Toronto, there are allotment gardens, and you have to pay to use a space yearly to the city. And that is like a territorial process, so it's an I process. We've come up with a we process. So TD Park people awarded us $10,000 for this season to actually start to develop lens of these models around the city, wherever people want them in their community, to grow collectively. We used to have victory gardens once upon a time when the war was at its highest and people were going hungry and they were able to send food abroad. We can still do that now.
They would grow their own food in their own backyards. How much time do you put into farming?
Oh my goodness. It's therapy for me, so I don't look at the clock. I just got a cell phone last week. I don't look at the clock. I'm just there to do the work and just to unwind and to heal myself too in the process. So a lot of times when I come out of the greenhouse, it's night. And I feel good about that because I'm actually doing something that I love to do, and I feel good about it. And then when others come, they just bask in that glory of what we do, and we feel very proud to share that with community.
We're running out of time. I only have a few more questions left. Rand, what is the next step for member farmers once they gain the city farming skills they learn from being a part of the Fresh City Farms experience?
You know, it's been such an interesting experience. I mean, we're really helping grow food entrepreneurs, and I say helping because they're doing the vast majority of the work.
Food entrepreneurs, I like that.
Yeah, so we've seen everything from, member farmers do what Jacqueline and Noelle are doing, which is create a nonprofit, to one member farmer started an indoor farm with LED technology and whatnot, growing year-round in a warehouse. One of our member farmers went on to run the YMCA's Cedar Glen camp, which has a farming component. Some people have went on to do the traditional farming as we all pictured it in a rural area. So it's been very interesting because we didn't have a really concrete sense of where we wanted it to end up. But people have kind of stayed with us for anywhere between 1 to 5 years and gone on to do a lot of different things in the good food world.
Now, if someone is watching and wants to become a member, how do they do that? Or how do you select who's part of Fresh City Farms?
Well, they can just check it on our website and send us an email. Typically, we have between 15 and 20 every year. And we've found it's actually been fairly organic in terms of enough people leaving and enough people coming. It is a commitment in the sense of we do want people to utilize the plot and not just kind of come to it every 2 weeks and have it overgrown with weeds. But once you really have to sit down and talk to somebody of what farming means and how obviously it has great benefits, but it's also work and it requires commitment, we've actually found a good equilibrium over the years.
And Jacqueline, would you like to see your Black Farmers group growing into something larger?
Well, that's exactly why I'm doing it. I want it to be big and bold and mighty in the city of Toronto and the province of Ontario, and grow legs where people are food insecure and people feel that they need to do something in their community and stand up for their justice, because that's what we're doing.
When you say justice, what do you mean?
Standing up for the right, it's a human right to have good, clean food and fair access to it. You can afford it. It's not a mortgage, and that's where we are right now. It's a mortgage. And many people that you talk to, they are telling you that I don't want to eat bad, but that's what I can afford, or that's what I have access to in my community. I mean, for such a country like Canada, we can do so much better.
It's interesting because once upon a time you'd go to the store and you'd just buy food.
Yes.
But now it's regular food and then organic and then you know all these tiers.
Yes.
What's the next step for Fresh City Farms?
We're looking to grow beyond just the Toronto market, so the Southern Ontario market. But I think more broadly than that is, we're trying to make our clean food more accessible to a broader variety of people, and that's where I think got a lot of work to do. And
what do you mean accessible?
In both financial terms, so trying to make it as cheap as possible while maintaining the quality levels that we want to maintain, but also just psychologically, because a lot of people don't see themselves as eating organic or local. They see it as a sort of tree hugger, granola thing to do. And we're trying to move people away from that, from thinking of it as this like elitist label or this marketing gimmick, depending on who you ask, is really getting to the essence of why it's important to eat this kind of food.
And to let people know they can access it. Because sometimes I think the accessibility thing is a barrier for a lot of people.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Thank you both for being here, Rand,
Thanks
Jacqueline. Continued success.
Thank you.
Help TVO create a better world through the power of learning. Visit TVO.org and make a tax-deductible donation today.